I am thrilled to announce we have a sponsor for the show, and it's a group I've relied on for many, many years, the Pew Research Center. And the thing they do that I love the most as someone who enjoys religion and stats is the religious landscape study, which Pew has been conducting for nearly 20 years. With responses from over 35,000 Americans across all 50 states, the Religious Landscape Study is a comprehensive look at faith, beliefs, and identity in our lives and our country. It's the largest single survey Pew Research Center conducts, aiming to provide authoritative information on the size and characteristics of U.S. religious groups, because guess what? The Census Bureau does not collect that information. On the Religious Landscape Studies interactive website, you can find survey data by metro area, state or region, or for the whole United States. You can also explore the social and political views and demographic traits of U.S. religious groups. Pew Research Center conducts high-quality research to inform the public, journalists, and leaders about the issues, attitudes, and trends shaping our world. Studying trends in U.S. religion is a key part of the center's long-standing research agenda. To learn more about the Religious Landscape Study and dive into the data yourself, visit pewresearch.org/RLS. And with that, hello.
Hi again.
Hi. You are going to Washington. What are the details about that?
I'm leaving tomorrow. I am doing a friendly atheist meetup at the Snoqualmie Falls Brewery, I believe it's called, a brew house. 7 o'clock, the 21st, that's Saturday. Very much looking forward to seeing people. You will get to meet the opportunity to meet an old friend of mine who was like my OG, wait, you're a Christian and I'm an atheist, but we're best friends kind of deal. I haven't seen her since 2009, and she and her husband.
And who knows where she is now?
Well, I know she's in Walla Walla physically, but I'm just very excited to see her. She seems to be like she wants to stay for the meetup because she wants to see what's up with all of it. So I'm really excited, and yeah, if I'm out of sorts, it's because I've had just an insane few days and also fucked up the first 10 minutes of this recording. This is take two.
Try again.
For old Jess and Hammond. I've never done that before. So if I feel like I am out of pocket, it's because my brain's broke.
That's okay. I'm going to start by telling you a story about a guy named Wiley Drake, and that's a name that may not be familiar to most people.
It is in my heart. It's a great name.
But I'll go back to 2009. You may recall Dr. George Tiller. He was a doctor who provided abortion care in Kansas, a guy who received a ton of death threats over the course of his life. And in 2009, he was assassinated outside of his church. He went to church in Wichita, Kansas. And right after that happened, this guy, Pastor Wiley Drake, who ran the first Southern Baptist church in Buena Vista, California, he was very excited. He had a radio show at the time, and he said on his radio show, "I'm glad George Tiller is dead."
Class.
He called him a brutal, murdering monster. Drake said he is grateful to God that Tiller is gone. And he said on his show, there may be a lot of people who would say, oh, that's mean. You shouldn't be that way. Well, no, it's an answer to prayer. Because apparently Drake had spent many years praying for George Tiller to be killed. Actually, he prayed that Tiller would find God instead.
Well, that's different.
Even though he went to church. But again, wrong kind of Christian.
Yeah, which God?
But a year prior to the assassination, Wiley Drake said he switched from praying for George Tiller to find God to praying for God to just go ahead and murder the dude. And he called it imprecatory prayer, which is the name of a prayer where you wish harm upon someone.
Imprecatory.
It's like a witch hex.
I mean, it does feel
Christian
like a
style.
dope, like punk band name.
There you go. So he said he began calling for these imprecatory prayers because George Tiller had turned his back on God again and again and again. And then he said to his critics, would you have rejoiced when Adolf Hitler died during the war? Or would you have said, oh, that's terrible for him to be killed? No. I would have said, amen, praise the Lord, hallelujah. I'm glad he's dead.
Definitely the same thing is being a small-town abortion provider versus a man who tried to take over all of Europe and exterminate several races of people.
That's it, right. And he said, Drake said, this man, George Tiller, was far greater in his atrocities than Hitler. But wait, it gets worse. So in 2010, there was a Democratic congressman. His name was John Murtha. and he died. And he had been an opponent of the Iraq War. He had butted heads with the religious right. Republicans don't like this guy, of course. And wouldn't you know it, just after Murtha died, Drake sent out an email celebrating the death. He said, maybe God took him out. Maybe God answered our imprecatory prayer that we prayed every 30 days. And he added, I didn't celebrate his death. I said maybe it was God's answer to our imprecatory prayer. They'd been trying for 4 or 5 months for God to get rid of this guy, and finally he died.
So he's roping his flock in on this. It's not just he's praying for death. He's making all these people complicit.
This is on his mailing list that he's saying this stuff. Like, you guys, we did it.
Oh, my Lord.
And he did this a lot. One of his constant foes was Americans United for Separation of Church and State. And at the time, the leader of that group was Barry Lynn. Drake wished for the death of Barry Lynn. Love Barry. Barry's around. Good guy.
It didn't work then?
It didn't work. Drake also prayed for the death of Barack Obama. But you can imagine how many threats Obama faced over the years.
That hits different.
And this was not like after the fact. This is when the guy is running for office, in office, etc.
Yeah.
And at that point, I think some pastors like, maybe don't say this stuff out loud.
Oh,
and Drake said, all right, I'm going to back off, you guys, but I'm not going to back off completely because that's not what my people do.
No.
Can't apologize. Never apologize.
No. I've never done anything wrong.
I've talked to God and I've decided that I don't want Obama to be killed. I just want him tried for treason and then executed by the state.
That's generous.
See, different. And he also later claimed, the birther movement, Obama's not born in America.
Yeah.
He's like, that was me, you guys. I started that. He took credit.
Seriously?
Wait,
did he? I thought it was a Trump thing.
So wait for this. Okay. Trump thinks it's a Trump thing too.
Oh.
And here's the thing. If this is some random dude on the fringe, okay, who cares what random people think? It's like, does Westboro Baptist Church represent all Christians? Of course they don't. But the thing is, this is not some random dude.
Right.
This is a guy who became one of the vice presidents of the Southern Baptist Convention.
Yeesh.
This is a guy who was a powerful Southern Baptist. In 2008, when Obama was running for president, there was another guy who was running, Alan Keyes, who also ran against Obama, I believe in 2006 for the Senate seat. And just okay, I get it. Republicans think you need another black guy to run against Obama, except Alan Keyes has horrible views about everything. And no one cared about him in Illinois. Well, Alan Keyes ran for president in 2008. He managed to make it on the ballot in one state.
Ooh, which state?
California. And Alan Keyes is like, who should I have as my running mate? Wiley Drake.
Wow.
So
well, if he's got psychic powers to murder people, you want him on your team.
Somehow that ticket never got much traction, even in California. But the point is, he's not a nobody. Wiley Drake was a vice presidential candidate on a bad ticket, but also a second vice president of the Southern Baptist Convention.
He reached the national stage.
Yes. And this is the same dude who is doing all this stuff. It's not like this is his past and then he got these platforms. No, it's the other way around. He got these platforms and then this is what he's doing with them. Now, on occasion, he might have done something nominally decent. Like he said, I want to help people who have no home.
Yeah.
But even then, he refused to get proper authorization from local government, which could have put the people he was trying to help in more danger. In fact, in 2017, officials in Buena Park, I don't know what I said earlier, but Buena Park, they said his makeshift church shelter had a hazardous electric system.
Did we talk about this?
Nope, different dude. Hazardous electric system.
This is a common story?
Yeah. Lacked proper emergency exits, and he didn't use certified fire alarms or smoke detectors.
Oh, well.
So I'm glad you're trying to help people.
It's not going to protect you against the hellfire, is it? Those smoke detectors. That's nothing. I'm sorry, everybody.
He's also famous because in 1996, decade before all the stuff I've been talking about, when he was a high-ranking Southern Baptist leader, he urged the entire Southern Baptist Convention, we got to boycott Disney. They're too gay-friendly.
In 96?
96. And I think that might have been around the year ABC aired the Ellen episode where she came out as gay.
Wow.
But also, the company
He's
had
really
just...
ahead of the curve.
Yeah, the company, Disney, had just committed this indefensible crime of extending benefits to same-sex partners of their employees.
Those motherfuckers.
And they were releasing R-rated movies. So Wiley Drake...
Wait, I'm sorry. How am I supposed to feel about that? What R-rated movies did Disney release?
I have no freaking clue.
You keep
but
talking.
While they were doing that, he's like, we need to boycott Disney. And they agreed. And Southern Baptists as a whole, which again, largest Protestant denomination in the country, they were like, all right, I guess we're boycotting Disney as much as we can. Spoiler alert, Disney made it out just fine. And the Southern Baptists are losing members every year.
Wait, hold the phone.
Yes.
Okay, Disney, because they own Touchstone Pictures, Hollywood Pictures, and later 20th Century Studios. So
Yeah, not animated movies that are
Down
rated
and
R.
Out in Beverly Hills and Pretty Woman and Tombstone.
All right.
So
The Disney version of Pretty Woman.
Wow.
But anyway, this
So
is my
brave.
point. This is who Wiley Drake was. He's a bigot who never believed the rules applied to him.
Yep.
He was pro-life, but he actively wished
people who he
death
prayed to death.
upon his perceived enemies. And he was very influential within the largest Christian denomination in the country. So why bring all this up? Because a couple of weeks ago, Wiley Drake died.
Oh,
No one prayed for it. He was just old.
that was a weird noise I made because I didn't know the correct response.
That's all right. He died. He died in January. I don't even know what the cause was. It doesn't matter. But there were obituaries
prayed him
about
to
the
death.
guy. It would have been a perfect time to say, "Hey, maybe in hindsight." I mean,
What are those
for some
prayers
of
that
these
he had?
people, imprecatory.
Imprecatory.
Maybe this would be a good time to say, "Yeah, maybe he wasn't a good dude.
Yeah.
He did a lot of horrible stuff." I mean, whatever you do in your life, your legacy should never be filled with as much hate as this guy had.
Yeah.
But that's not what happened at all. So Baptist Press,
really?
which is the Southern Baptist Convention's like journalism propaganda wing, they wrote their obituary about the guy. It's not until the middle of the obituary that you learn about anything bad that this guy did. And that paragraph just says he sparked controversy. And it isn't until the last line of that paragraph where we hear, quote, Drake also said he prayed imprecatory prayers against Obama.
Oh.
That's it. That's the whole line.
Oh. Wait, didn't even get to the guy whose death he celebrated?
Which have to be more specific.
Oh, that's actually a fair point.
Then that same obituary quoted the very recent Southern Baptist Convention president, Bart Barber, because in 2020, I guess Wiley Drake suffered a stroke and caught COVID, but made it. In 2020, Bart Barber, then the president of the SBC, said Wiley Drake is the SBC and someone, quote, who is passionate about the convention and wants it to be the best that it can be. And Barber said in 2020 that even though I don't always agree with Wiley Drake, quote, I respect him. Okay, but that was 2020. Now that he's dead, and you could say whatever the hell you want about the guy.
Yeah, but that's not how people do. People are more respectful of dead people. It's not like they wait until they're dead and be like, actually, I always hated that prick. Look what happened to Charlie Kirk.
What does Bart Barber say now, like in real time about him?
He was a Christian warrior.
Wiley Drake rightly believed that any simple, faithful messenger could go to the microphone at the Southern Baptist Convention and do something that made an eternal difference.
You have to know I don't know what that means.
Yeah, no one knows what that means. Basically, when they're at the convention, Wiley Drake was apparently famous for going to the microphone and saying, I have an idea. Let's protest Disney. I want to vote on this. And he got that vote.
Okay.
But that's how their Southern Baptist Convention does stuff. At no point, though, does Bart Barber condemn anything Wiley Drake did during his life. This is the guy, remember, 60 Minutes did a whole story back in the day when 60 Minutes was not overrun by right-wing crazy people, did a whole story on the Southern Baptist Convention. He was Bart Barber was the guy they interviewed. Tell us why, you seem like a decent guy.
Sure.
Let's talk to you about all this. Okay, what did other SBC leaders say? Another former SBC president, his name is Ronnie Floyd. Here's what he said about Wiley Drake. Southern Baptists will miss Wiley Drake. I loved Wiley, and he was one of a kind in SBC life. Thank God for pastors like Wiley Drake.
That's how my dad talks about his racist friends who are dead.
Yeah. J.D. Greer, another former SBC president. Here's what he wrote. We grieve the passing of a Southern Baptist icon and open mic legend. Wiley and I had some wonderful...
Did you stand up on the side too?
Nope, open mic is their Southern Baptist thing.
I was doing a fun goof.
Wiley and I had some wonderful and a few interesting interactions.
Wink.
To note, he defeated me for second vice president of the SBC in 2006. Praying for his family. You will be missed, Wiley. You were loved. All that's to say, you know this is how the Southern Baptist moral compass is broken.
Right.
Because the guys with the biggest voices within the denomination, they cannot even condemn this dude's cruelty after he's dead. It's not like they did it when he was alive. So this institution that elevated him, empowered him, benefited from his influence, they still can't bring themselves to say, maybe this dude was bad. Maybe we're not better off because he ever lived.
I'm always kind of delighted how surprised you are that these bad people do bad actions.
I'm not surprised. I was surprised that when I saw obituaries, not from Southern Baptist propaganda outlets, but from regular media outlets, of course, they mentioned the bad stuff he did, but apparently they couldn't find a single Southern Baptist leader willing to say, yeah, I agree that shit was dumb.
Yeah, because they're always going to protect their own.
Right. Which goes back to how they handle abuse, too.
Yeah, 100%.
They are whitewashing his legacy. But, like, what does that tell you about Southern Baptists? You could say, oh, that's just one dude. He doesn't represent most of us.
He does represent.
The whole denomination is backing this guy even today. And what did he teach them? That, hey, if we want to use our religion to justify bigotry, oppose human rights, go against doctors, a charismatic black guy, then we can do it. Just cite our religion. Like, no one should live their lives like that guy. Not because he was controversial, but because he was wrong, demonstrably wrong. No one in his life apparently had the decency to talk sense into him. And it's too bad he's dead. I wish he knew what a monster he was during his entire life.
Yeah.
But I think the Southern Baptist refusal to address his behavior shows that, nope, it's the entire group.
Yeah.
The entire leadership there is bad. It's not one dude.
You're right. And it's just the fact that he's still bragging about the birther movement, or was, I should say, like, it's also embarrassing. Like, it just tells you what their priorities are. And it's also just like such a classic, I can only speak for Catholics, but like passive aggressive Christian thing of like, something unpleasant happened and we're just going to pretend it didn't.
And you can't call me racist because I'm running with Alan Keyes. Which is like saying you can't be racist, Republicans, because you like Clarence Thomas.
It's just such a, I don't know, conservative Christian thing, a generational thing of like, well, it's unpleasant to talk about, so we shan't.
All right, I'm going to go to an even more disturbing story. I thought I would front load them for you. There are church scandals. You've never heard one that was this deeply disturbing.
Are you
to
sure?
The point
because
where I'm going to have to censor myself from telling you everything about it because I fear that this recording will be erased from the internet.
Oh, you're not worried about my emotional well-being right now?
No, not at all. Okay. So California has a church called Harvest Christian Fellowship. It's a big non-denominational megachurch. It's run by a guy named Greg Laurie. Greg Laurie, bigwig in the evangelical cinematic universe.
Okay.
He used to have a right-hand man, another pastor in his church named Paul Havsgard. This is the guy you're going to want to remember.
Okay.
He's the centerpiece of the story.
Okay.
So Paul Havsgard is like another pastor at this church. And there have been stories coming out for many, many months now about Havsgard. And the reason it's a story now is because for the first time, he's really responded to everything. But here's the details that I can share. Basically, years ago, Harvest Christian Fellowship, they funded the creation of several orphanages in Romania.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Okay, fine. You want to help orphans in Romania? I guess that's a mission trip that you can get on board with. Fine. And they were like, Paul Havsgard wants to lead the orphanages. So we're going to send him there because we trust this guy and give us money so we can give it to him so he can do all this stuff. But the reason this has been in the news for several months now is because there are now allegations of a lack of proper oversight from the church and allegations from many of the children who stayed at those buildings that Havsgard abused them for many years.
Havsgard personally?
Personally. Specifically, these complaints started to get filed in September. These kids who live there are now like in their 30s, maybe 40s. But they said that Havsgard, quote, severely abused them and dozens of other children at the shelter over 8 years. The lawsuits also named Greg Laurie, as well as other senior church leaders, saying they failed to prevent the abuse. Now, Havsgaard denies everything. He has not been charged with any crimes. The church claims this is all part of a targeted attack on them by the lawyer who's representing all these children and the law firm that's representing that lawyer. And here's what the church said.
Okay.
This misplaced lawsuit wrongly targets Harvest Riverside and our pastor as a form of financial extortion. It does not seek the truth, nor does it seek to stop the purported wrongdoer. And what the lawsuits say.
Wait, that's it?
That's what their statement was to the press
They're
when
just
the
saying
lawsuits
this is a
were
nothing
released.
burger.
Yes.
Ignore it.
But here's what the lawsuits actually say. They said the church had minimal oversight into what this guy was doing in Romania.
Yeah.
Even though, guess how much money they gave him a month to run these orphanages?
$100,000.
Jesus.
I don't know.
That's a lot. $17,000 a month.
A month?
In Romania, where like $1 goes a long way.
Yeah.
They ignored warning signs. And according to the plaintiffs, that allowed Havsgaard to create, quote, a torture chamber inside a prison. I'm going to read this. This is from, I believe, the Associated Press article about all this.
Okay.
When the lawsuits were filed. Havsgaard would show up regularly in the bathroom while boys were showering or undressed, stare at them, or masturbate in their presence.
No.
Both plaintiffs have also accused Havsgaard of, quote, pimping out older boys for sex work via video chat or at bathhouses and taking a cut of their earnings.
Of course.
The complaints detail sexual assault, inappropriate touching, and abuse, where children were made to kneel on walnut shells or were tied to their beds or radiators. According to the lawsuit, Havsgaard told the children while abusing them, quote, I know what God wants.
No.
What I want, God wants. That's from the Associated Press write-up of the lawsuits. So you know it's already been sanitized.
Jesus Christ.
And so what were the warning signs that they say the church should have known about? Well,
a man wanted to go to Romania to hang out with children?
that too. Among them, there was a missionary who visited the orphanages in 2002 who heard about allegations of abuse and left a message with the church that was ignored. Another minister's wife told church leaders about her suspicions of abuse. They ignored her. In 2004, a trio of pastors supposedly investigated the matter and wrote up a report and gave it to the church's like leader of mission trips, Richard Shute, who gave it to Greg Laurie, and then it was ignored.
He gave it to the abuser. It was like, hey,
Sorry. He gave it to the leader of all mission trips. Saying, hey, this one that you're doing in Romania.
And he just opted out of.
Basically, they didn't do anything. Now, apparently the church knew enough because they cut ties with Havsgaard in 2005 without any explanation. And then they gave him a severance package worth about $200,000.
Friendly Atheist. Nope. Patreon.com/Friendly Atheist Podcast.
Yeah.
Support our show.
But they cut ties in 2005, but in 2009, there's something up on their website, the church's or Greg Laurie, his ministry's website, that praises Havsgaard as a decent Christian who faithfully served the Lord for many years at Harvest Christian Fellowship.
Do you think this is just a, like enough time has passed and maybe people will kind of forget?
Maybe. And it wasn't until 2024 that someone from the church finally reported Havsgaard to law enforcement.
So almost 20 years after he was like let go by the church.
Yeah.
And even though the church let him go, they were like, well, we're not going to look into this.
Right.
That would be uncomfortable for us.
Yep. So here's the thing. I've read so many stories about this dude and what the lawsuits
Here's
did.
the thing. If you say the word statute of limitations, I'm going to flip over this table and run out the house and never return.
Not the issue.
Great.
So the descriptions in the mainstream news outlets of the lawsuits, they're already horrifying. I just read you some of it. None of them give you real insight into how disturbing these allegations are. And the thing is, the law firm...
So sorry, being tied to a radiator and kneeling on walnuts is not the bad shit.
Nope. And the thing is, the law firm that did this, I just mentioned there were like 2 guys who filed the lawsuit. No, they have like 24 separate complaints from their various plaintiffs. So if I go through one of them and just actually read the 70-page complaint in full, it goes into stark detail about everything, including the stuff I mentioned. But in one case, there was a kid who was orphaned at the age of 8 and found living on the streets of Bucharest. quote, desperate for food, shelter, and stability. I guess the police in Romania found him on the streets, and they're like, where can we send this kid?
Yeah.
Hey, an orphanage.
Yeah, we need a roof for him.
He was taken to Havsgård. That's when this kid's life got worse. And I'm not going to keep reading all of this, but it is very disturbing. I'll link to the article for anyone in the show notes if you want to read in depth what they did, but it gets really, really bad. Worse than everything I already said. And there are allegations against Havsgård that are even worse than the ones I mentioned. For what it's worth, his wife is also in Romania during all of this. And I don't know what she sees. I don't know what she's participating in. I don't know what she's aware of. I will just say they got divorced in 2007. But one of the things that the lawsuit mentions is that when he launched these orphanages in Romania, he never bothered to learn the language, which, I mean, why bother? You're not using them to protect them. That would...
Is he like meeting little girls named Natalia and he's like, your name is Jane now. Congratulations, Jane.
That would be the best case scenario here. But he doesn't care about their language because he's not interested in learning about these kids.
This is like Indian school shit.
He recruited kids by buying them McDonald's. He used children who were bilingual to recruit others. He eventually had enough money to buy a home, like an orphanage home in Bucharest.
I mean, is he doing anything? Like, is there any level of this that is helping anybody, or is this just simply a front for him to abuse children?
No. I mean, like according to the church, he has homes. These orphans are in his home. They are doing Bible study, which is all they care about. But he conducted the Bible studies in English, which is a language most of them don't understand. I mean, which suggests that religion is a ruse to get them in there.
And also that he doesn't actually respect them as human beings.
Right.
They are little recipients of his bullshit.
And without getting into details, a lot of the abuse involves saying, hey, you're doing something naughty, you need to be punished. And then he would punish them.
Sexually?
Indirectly? Directly? I mean, the answer is yes. I don't want to read this shit. It's really bad. Yeah. There are other allegations that involve taking boys to hotel rooms, watching them shower, forcing kids to do things, videotaping them. And at times, boys under his care witnessed him assaulting other boys in his care. Then there's like emotional abuse. There's physical, like he put children who displeased him out on the street, letting them plead in the cold for re-entry into the home. Allegedly, he strangled and smothered children with pillows for temporary amounts of time, letting them go before they lost consciousness.
Were there any deaths reported?
Nope. But
I can't imagine
that's what he does.
I can't imagine the bookkeeping in a Romanian orphanage is especially thorough.
So even when members of the congregation are like, hey, I give money to this ministry, I would like to see how they're doing. I happen to be visiting Eastern Europe or whatever. Yeah. They would go.
My annual Romanian trek.
Yeah. They would go there and they would always be like, this guy keeps needing more money, even though I know we're giving him money as a church. But like when I saw the kids, they had no coats in the winter. The homes are dirty. The bicycles are broken. So, like, where's all this money going?
He's walking around in his gold shoes, his diamond convertible.
Another donor couldn't get access to the ministry's financial information.
Well,
And even when donors wanted to help fix these things, he refused their generosity, mostly because I don't think he wanted them coming inside the home.
Sure.
And he denied all of this, but the lawsuit suggests his wife knew what he was doing. Donors could have known what they were doing. The church could have known what he was doing if they had oversight.
Right.
But there's a section of the lawsuit that goes like this. Instead, they did nothing. Defendants did not recall Havsgård for questioning. Defendants did not put Havsgård on leave. They did not discipline Havsgård. They did not require him to attend counseling. They did not induce Havsgård to retire. They did not fire Havsgård. They did not shut down the homes. This goes on for many, many statements.
Is the subject of this lawsuit the church that oversaw him?
They are suing the church, Greg Laurie, the dude himself.
Okay.
Yes. And the mandated reporters, all of these people.
Sure.
No one's doing anything about it. And they say Greg Laurie turned a blind eye to what's going on. And finally, when the orphanages were finally shut down in 2008, the church didn't do anything to help the kids who were still there.
Oh.
They just
good night and
let
good
them
luck.
loose.
Oof.
They gave them no money, no plan, no emergency number to call, nothing.
It's almost like these people don't actually care about children.
The lawsuit also posted an advertisement, maybe from Facebook from 2023, in which another church that is in circles with Harvest, where it's a senior adults Bible study led by Paul Havsgard. So he's still very much in the fold.
Well, he's also trading one vulnerable population to another, which is going from children to the elderly.
Yeah, I can take your stuff.
Yep.
So the lawsuits.
Who can I find that nobody cares about?
The lawsuits bring forth claims of negligence, infliction of emotional distress, trafficking, sexual conduct that was illicit, aiding and abetting, so many things. And it's been months since those lawsuits were filed.
Really?
So this is all going through the courts now. I believe the courts have said there's a lot of lawsuits here. We're going to merge them into one, which is fine. That's a normal thing. But it means we're now going through the legal process. Again, Havsgard has not been convicted of any crime.
Sure.
We're dealing with this.
Is he even under arrest? Like, is he, or is he just
no arrest.
free?
It's a complaint. It's not even a criminal thing. But he has now sent the court a letter this month pleading poverty. He's the victim in all this. This is what he wrote in a letter to the judge. In all of the lawyer's efforts to round up information to discredit me and to bring false accusations against me, they say nothing of all we accomplished in the lives of the children. ... We provided food, shelter, clothes, even Christmas and birthday presents, and much more. They were treated well by all the staff and myself.
Even Christmas and birthday presents. What a luxury.
Then there's this. This lawsuit has cost me everything. I was teaching a Bible study for senior citizens, but had to step down when I told them about these lawsuits. These lawsuits have ruined any hope of being able to minister because no church wants to risk a potential lawsuit as well.
Aren't they the ones who are always saying fuck around and find out? Mm-hmm. And he fucked around and is currently finding out and is unhappy about it.
He also says this lawsuit is all about money. Prayerfully, I will be proven innocent.
Prayerfully.
But if not, and my accusers gain wealth, when the money is gone and our bodies decay, there is a judgment coming. At no point in this letter does this dude respond to any of the specific allegations. No. Because again, I mean, the letter is not the place for him to respond to the allegations. That's what the complaints are about. He just says they're all false.
Oh.
Like, that's it. Interestingly enough,
just from whole cloth.
That's it.
They just invented a story.
Like a very detailed story that involves many, many children.
It's corroborated by a lot of people, and
I will say
maybe it's a giant conspiracy.
The Christian news outlet The Roy's Report says that Harvest, the church, they settled a lawsuit in 2016 involving allegations of sexual misconduct overseas, and it cost them a lot of money. But basically, by settling it, the details were never really made public.
I see.
But we don't know if that's regarding the Romania stuff or something else.
Interesting.
And there are signs that suggest that settlement involved the same Romanian ministry, but we don't know.
Huh.
And I think that's why these lawsuits, that's why the church is like, come on, we took care of this stuff. I don't know.
Oh, interesting.
The church and Greg Laurie are telling the judge, can you dismiss all of these cases? That's their argument. Like,
we don't want to. We don't feel like it.
Yeah. So I don't know.
And is that where it's sitting right now?
That's where it's sitting right now. Havsgard has every right to defend himself in court, but rather than engaging with the accusations, he's just like, I'm the real victim here. Let's not forget that. And this is, I think, more than anything, regardless of how this turns out, churches should never be operating with no real transparency. No one should give money to a church unless they have full transparency into how that money is being used. I would say the same thing of any nonprofit.
Yeah.
If you're giving them a lot of money, you deserve to know how that money is going to be used.
100%.
And if they want your donations, they should be able to tell you where it's going. But most churches, especially megachurches, even to their members, you wouldn't know how much the pastor gets paid.
No.
That's secret information.
Wow.
Anyway.
Are we going to talk about Dawkins and the Epstein files ever, or just nah?
We can talk about it in bonus.
Okay.
I don't have it on me right now.
I know. I just didn't know if anything like...
Only because, I mean, we could do it quick. The answer is like Dawkins didn't do anything on the island or anything.
Yeah.
What has come out is that Dawkins was still interacting with Epstein after allegations had been made, after Epstein had already been convicted of child sex trafficking. Dawkins was like still at gatherings with him.
Sure.
And that's the low end of the spectrum. On the far end, you have like Lawrence Krauss, who's like, I'm getting accused of stuff. I need your help. How do I get out of this shit?
Wow.
And Rebecca Watson made a really, really thorough, good video about what the files uncovered about a lot of prominent atheists from like 20 years ago. And the biggest, I mean, that video is worth watching. You should watch it. But more than anything, it's these guys knew. They knew what Epstein had been convicted of, and it didn't stop them from interacting with him because Epstein very much wanted to give money to promote science and all that stuff, and they wanted that money, and they were willing to keep associating with the guy.
Yeah.
If they want to argue, I didn't know the extent of what he did, I didn't know all these details or whatever. No, they knew he was a convicted sex predator at that time.
Yeah.
And they still were willing to be seen with him, work with him, sometimes closely, sometimes not.
I've heard allegations of like there were a lot of meetings at like the Harvard, whatever the science thing that Epstein funded. And there were just a lot of meetings between men. And my understanding is they were basically trying to like do sociological research to help kind of implement what we're seeing now of like, how can we, like, what are stories we can put into the culture that will poison it for, say, trans people, and just kind of studying how cultures work. And it's very conspiratorial, but
yeah,
they were all spending a lot of time together at that Harvard, like, evolutionary biology thing. And it just seems...
I have not seen that. All I know is he gave a lot of money to science causes. It got him access to a lot of prominent academics.
Yeah.
And doesn't mean they're on the island or doing anything necessarily. It just means they knew what this guy had been convicted of. And they were like, yeah, but he gives us money to fund our stuff, so who cares?
That's a price I'm willing to pay.
And all of them are in the same science academic, I write books circles. Like they all have the same agent. They all work with the same people. They're all on the same email chains. And you can now see all their emails. Like, yeah,
it's just...
There's not much more to say. It's call them out on it. I haven't heard Dawkins respond much to any of those things about...
While obviously this is all absolutely nightmarish, it does let me exercise my favorite emotion, which is smugness.
Yes.
I do love being smug because we were right about Dawkins being a D-bag. And like, oh, turns out the transphobia... Well, I was going to say it was the least of our concerns. It's not. It's a major concern. Trans people, I love you. But also the Epstein stuff is not a good look, I would say, for somebody who is already a nightmare person. And like, I just hope he comes out with some like evolutionary, like
I did get a message.
I should be attracted to 17-year-olds because it helps the genetic. That's what I'm hoping for.
I did get a message from one person who said, not that I didn't say much about Dawkins at any point regarding the Epstein stuff. It was Lawrence Krauss more than it was anyone else.
Yeah.
They're like, will you back off of Dawkins? It's like, no.
Did we harmonize?
He was there. We did. There's no reason. He was there. He's friends with these people. Like he's still friends with these people.
He's a big boy. He can take, deal with the consequences of his shitty actions.
And again, it's not, you are still friends with the people who are in the same circles. Why didn't any of you distance yourselves from this dude?
Because they never thought they would get caught. They never thought they would get caught. They thought too many people were involved. And oh boy, I am just watching it crash down and it's so delicious.
All right, different story. I got a good one for you.
Oh.
Do you remember Project Blitz?
Yeah, Hammett, I remember fucking Project Blitz because I still can't believe they called it Project Blitz.
So before Project 2025 became the playbook for conservatives, Project Blitz highlighted like the conservative Christian agenda. And the biggest thing it did is it offered copies of like, here's a rough draft of a bill to do Christian-y stuff. And if any of you want to just copy paste this shit in your states, it's good to go.
Guys, it's Blitz, like the fucking Blitzkrieg. Like, what the fuck are... Like, be subtle, guys, please.
So
make me do a little work to hate you.
They had legislation that would be like, let's put In God We Trust in public schools. Let's get Bible classes taught in school districts. Let's allow healthcare providers to deny service based on their Christian bigotry. According to Americans United for Separation of Church and State, Project Blitz had like 21 model bills that were part of a coordinated national effort to codify the U.S. as a Christian nation.
Besides the "In God We Trust" stuff, can you give me a couple other examples?
They had tiers of like the low level, the low hanging fruit. That's probably not controversial, but maybe you could get it done. Is like "In God We Trust." Higher ranking is like get the 10 Commandments up. Let's try to make sure same sex marriage is not is overturned or whatever. Let's return it to the states.
Oh, I forgot. This isn't just an educational thing. This is just a complete.
They want a Christian nation, everything, and they had tiers. Like these are easy ones; these are hard ones to get done. But I cannot
divorce
stress
illegal.
Yeah. I can't stress the importance of those draft bills because all the lawmakers who agree with them, they don't have to do any real work.
No.
They were written specifically by lawyers to get around supposed legal challenges.
They're literally rubber stamping it.
Yeah, that's literally all they had to do. And the whole point of the word blitz is we're not going to get all of this stuff passed, but if we could do this all at once, if some of them pass, that's still a victory.
Oh, do they think blitz like a football blitz?
Oh yeah, I don't know what you're going in a different direction.
No, but Blitzkrieg. I think when people hear blitz, they think Blitzkrieg.
Clearly.
Maybe I just don't watch enough football to be a regular person.
But yeah, they were like, if we file all these bills in all these states, they can't stop all of them, so we'll win. Now, it's not what they did there.
I know, I'm understanding
it. It is not weird because advocacy groups write draft legislation all the time.
Yeah.
What you don't really see is this much coordination, all for bills that are just awful for everybody all the time. So here's the question. What would it look like if people who actually cared about civil rights, religious freedom, public education, what if they tried the same thing?
Sure.
And that's what a bunch of atheist groups have now done.
Okay.
So they have put together a secular Bill of Rights, specifically for students. And we're talking about American Atheists, the American Humanist Association, the Freedom from Religion Foundation. They have drafted bills that are designed to protect students from religious intrusion in their schools. So what do these bills talk about? It protects students from school-sponsored prayer, worship, or religious displays. The bills keep religion out of classrooms, assemblies, and official events. Preserves your right to personal religious expression. Gives educators clear, enforceable rules about what they can and can't do in the classroom. And it ensures that every student belongs, regardless of their beliefs.
That's so
nice. It would not ban prayer. It wouldn't ban religious clubs, wearing religious symbols, all the things religious zealots complain about. It just strengthens what the Constitution and the courts have already said.
Well, honestly, like the leap to saying like they're banning prayer, it's like, well, I don't think you can ban a thing that has not been legal to do for 50 years.
Right. So this bill would say like, no, you can't put the 10 Commandments up in school on the basis that it's historic and not religious. That's lying. There's a ban on school-sponsored religious teaching in these bills. So creationism, intelligent design.
Do they make space for, I know I love to talk about this, but like teaching about religions
I don't know if it says specifically about that, but again, teaching about religion, objectively, totally legal. No one's been fighting about that from the church-state separation side.
Right.
And here's the cool part about all this. 3 states have already introduced this legislation. Vermont, Kansas, and Oklahoma. You have Democrats who have filed these bills.
Oklahoma.
There you go.
Wow, that's exciting.
Yeah. Doesn't mean they're going to pass. Not necessarily.
Are they all in the same subject matter or did they pick and choose?
They are pretty much identical and maybe tailored to their states and what they need.
Sure.
But like
Kansas, Oklahoma, Vermont. What an interesting triptych.
I mean, this is, I guess I'm not horribly surprised by that because if you're a Democrat in Kansas or Oklahoma or something, you're like, you know what? No one's really paying attention here. And I am allowed to do what I want because odds are it's not going to get passed. Well, let me try to advance good legislation, make that my platform because you can advance. You could push the Overton window. You could get people talking about it, maybe. And that's the thing. Filing the bills doesn't mean they're going to pass, but it does keep these issues front and center. And if Republicans want to oppose it, Democrats and the media could pounce on that. Why the hell are you against religious freedom? What is it that you're mad about? And that's why it's worth sponsoring. I
do like framing it as religious freedom. I think that's the correct way to look at it, not as like we have to keep Christian nationalists from invading. More like, hey, like in a more, I guess, spin it in a positive way of like, no, we are enforcing everybody's religious freedom, no matter who.
These groups have released a toolkit with scripts that constituents can use when calling their representatives. Like, call them, tell them to get on board with this bill.
How come we haven't done this before?
Yeah, I mean, it takes a level of coordination.
Sure.
And it takes a level of, you know what, we got to try this because nothing else seems to be working.
We are a herding cats contingency sometimes.
And this is important. Like, this is good. It would mean even more at the federal level. Maybe the Congressional Free Thought Caucus, when Democrats take the House back, could try to codify this stuff, even if the Senate won't do it. But like, all the things they're pushing in these bills are sensible things. It's good governance. There's no reason to oppose these
That's
bills.
great. And is there like somebody or an organization at the head of this, or is this a sort of
They said they're all working together, American Atheist, American Humanist Association, FFRF.
That's wonderful. If you guys want to hire me, I would love to help with that. That would be really fun.
Different story here.
Wow.
I didn't get to tell you this last week, but recently at the Museum of the Bible, where else, there was a national gathering for prayer and repentance.
We definitely talked about the Museum of the Bible.
We did talk about the Museum of the Bible because that's
news
where
story about the Museum of the Bible.
When we talked about it last week, it's because the Trump religious freedom group they were meeting there to have all their events, and there was a lawsuit filed. Anyway, the reason I bring it up here is at this gathering, which is more of a private gathering with a bunch of Christians. Yes, of the Christian juggalos.
Whoop, whoop.
It was hosted by the Family Research Council, the right-wing hate group. They had a lot of politicians there.
Sure.
They had a lot of pastors, all talking about we need God to return the country to a moral foundation.
Definitely really diverse group, right?
Very diverse, every shade of white.
Wow.
Every shade of white. But the reason I bring this up, it was a 4-hour thing. It was live streamed. It was long.
You watched it all, didn't you?
Maybe. One of the people who spoke was the Tennessee Congresswoman, Diana Harshbarger, and she only gave a very short speech. But in that speech, let me tell you what she said. After praising God, our nation needs you, etc. I pray for Congress, Lord, that you would give us wisdom and discernment in all that we do, God. ... And God, I pray that you would put godly people in places of authority and take those people out of those places that are not godly, Lord.
First of all, poorly written sentence. Second of all,
Yeah. And she also, by the way, thanked God for Trump because thank you, God, for Trump's servant heart. Trump has a servant's heart. Because he only ever thinks about other people. He only wants to help. She's a congresswoman.
Like
of all the things to say about Trump.
Yeah. A servant's heart. He hasn't done anything for anybody in his entire miserable life.
Yep.
Holy shit, that is... Golly, I can't wait till they learn about irony. They're going to be unstoppable.
And that, if you said, hey, God, can you remove these people who are our enemies?
Oh, my God.
If you said that about any other group.
Oh, my God. I mean, this is like part and parcel with the Jan 6th people, right? Of just like, we don't like what's happening, and so we're going to use violence to do something about it.
And by the way, the whole premise of what she said is, you know, if godly people were in positions of power, we would have a moral country again. Well, interestingly enough, you know why she loves Trump? In November, he pardoned her husband. For what, you may ask?
Oh my God, tell me. I'm so excited.
Here's from the New York Times.
Here we go.
In 2013, Robert Harshbarger Jr., a licensed pharmacist at the time, pleaded guilty to healthcare fraud and distributing a misbranded drug. Mr. Harshbarger was sentenced in 2013 to 4 years in prison and ordered to pay more than $848,000 in restitution, as well as a $25,000 fine and $425,000 in forfeiture. So he did all this.
Wait, what does that mean, though?
It means healthcare fraud.
Okay.
He went to jail over this. He paid a lot of money over this, but it's still on his criminal record.
Sure.
And Trump pardoned him, so it's off his record. And so, of course...
Wow. I guess he did serve somebody. He served her and her husband. End of list.
There you go.
Wow. Healthcare fraud. That's a new one.
Now, I also want to bring this up because Diana Harshberger, the reason she's able to be in Congress, she's from, I believe, Tennessee District 1, which is a very red district, as are most of them in Tennessee.
Sure.
Well, one of the people, when you're in a very red district and you're a progressive, you're a Democrat, it's like, what do we do? This lady's crazy. She doesn't represent me. And there are protests in that area. And they try to get at town hall meetings where they can ask her and challenge her on this stuff. And one of the people who's been doing this
and they're not able to pin her down? Or they are?
Well, you can have a town hall meeting, but they're going to call you an agitator, kick you out. One of the people who's been doing this better than anybody over the past couple of years is a YouTuber named Christy Burke, who is an atheist. And she has a great YouTube channel, Jezebel Vibes.
One of us.
Yes. Awesome person. She's been spending the past year, a lot of her videos, when she's not just straight up talking about atheism, are I went to Harshberger's town hall and they kicked me out.
And is she Tennessee based?
Yeah.
Cool.
And recently she said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm running for Congress as a Democrat.
Really?
Yeah. And she is running. She's running to flip the district. And I asked her, because we're buddies now. I asked her, hey, what'd you make of the anti-atheist, God take you out of power lines from your congresswoman?
Yeah.
And here's what she said, because she's not snarky like I am. If someone asks to be trusted as godly, their actions still have to stand on their own. Diana Harshberger has ignored her constituents, voted for corporate tax breaks and cruel immigration policies, and stayed silent as her colleagues in Congress confront evidence of a massive global sex trafficking cover-up. The president she praises as having a servant's heart is mentioned at least 38,000 times in the Epstein files.
I've heard over a million at this point.
Yeah, she said that before the allegation of millions.
Yeah.
At least a million. Christy Burke goes on to say, I did not hear her pray for the victims of these horrendous crimes. Calling this servant leadership doesn't make it true. Serving power while people suffer is the opposite of public service.
So that response makes me understand why I am ill-suited for life in politics.
Because you would have said what?
She can go jump up her own fucking ass if you think that this president has done anything for anybody besides himself. And frankly, it is terrifying that she thinks that if she prays hard enough, people like me will just burst into flames.
Yes.
These people should be taken out. I wish I had
vote in the primary before you lose.
Yeah. Well, golly, that would be a mess.
But good on Christy for running. I have no idea where that campaign goes because,
Good
again,
for her.
She knows very well. It's a very red district that no one's looking at right now. But the argument we've been making for many years is I don't care what you're running for. If you're running for state office or you're running for Congress, like when you put a progressive who's willing to fight back against any of these people, you will get a lot more support than you imagine because people are looking for fighters.
Yeah.
I think polling has also shown this. What are you looking for in Democrats right now? It's not a policy. It's just give me someone who is willing to fight. Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, not there. They have no support among Democrats, relatively speaking. AOC is the most popular Democrat in the country right now.
Yeah.
Among Democrats.
Yeah.
So, they want someone willing to challenge and fight and all of that. So, good for Christy.
District 1 is the way eastern tip of Tennessee. So, we're talking Appalachia. So, I'm very interested to see how that shakes out. Good for that. I mean, honestly, this is my tip for anybody running for anything. I think the first and last words out of everybody's mouth should be fucking Nuremberg. We are not going to be satisfied. We're not going to be quiet until there is a Nuremberg level trial and people are held to account. And I will not fucking rest until that's true. And if you're running for any kind of Democratic seat, nothing is going to rally Democrats up being fucking world stage trial. We are going to hold these people's heels to the flames and make them admit what they did and be held accountable for it.
Fully agree. Whoever's running for president, that should absolutely be their campaign. We're going to go after these people for the crimes they've committed, the corruption, the everything.
Nuremberg 2028. What did they call it? Project 2025? This is Project 2028.
2029,
Nuremberg.
Nice. The movie's been written.
I love it.
All right. Let's go to a different story. This is from...
really quick, there was a movie that was called Nuremberg that came out this year, and me and my husband, my mother-in-law, all separately tried to see it and couldn't find it anywhere. What does it mean, everybody? What does it mean?
No idea what you're talking about.
There's no way you're confused by that very short anecdote.
Oh, no, I got the anecdote. I don't know what movie you're talking about.
Oh, you do?
Nope.
Oh, see? This is what I'm saying.
All right.
Big state trying to keep the Nuremberg movie
Clearly.
down. They don't want to give us ideas.
All right, let's talk about this poll from Gallup. Every year for like 50 years, more or less every year, they ask, we're going to tell you...
50 years, 5-0?
5-0.
Jesus.
We're going to ask you, do you believe this profession has high honesty and ethical standards?
Uh-oh.
It's like trustworthiness. Who do you think, what profession is the most trustworthy in general?
Oh, boy.
It's always been the same one.
Then,
all 50 years. It's
all 50 years has been the same one.
Almost always been the same one.
Doctors?
Close.
Teachers?
Nurses.
Nurses.
Everyone loves nurses.
Sure.
Doctors are pretty high up there.
Except for when you meet the mean girl in your high school and now she's a nurse and you're like, uh-oh.
Yeah. High school teachers were generally fine. Police were generally fine.
Ooh, that's...
but the
50
poll
years ago
just
now
came
was
out.
75.
The polling just came out. And one of the shockers here is, I mean, trust in everything has gone down.
Sure.
Over the past couple of years.
Because it turns out nobody's trustworthy?
Yeah. But now we found, guess what percentage of Americans think clergy members are trustworthy?
Has it dropped?
Oh, it's dropped.
Like to under 50%?
Oh, yeah.
Under 20%?
27.
Wow.
Record low, 27.
1 in 4 people trusts the clergy.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Then maybe y'all shouldn't be like gunning so hard on getting like mandatory reporter laws out. If it turns out none of us actually do trust the clergy, then maybe that's a pretty good fucking reason to make them mandatory reporters.
The last time more than half the country felt they were trustworthy clergy members was 2012. And it's just been going lower and lower ever since.
What year did Spotlight come out?
Spotlight? That was more recent.
I don't know. I think maybe 2013, 2014. But, I'm just trying to wonder when the sea change of like the Catholic Church is.
I mean, if you look at the picture of when the numbers started going down, it's very much like there was a little blip in 2001, but for a couple decades, the long-term pattern is trust in clergy has gone lower and lower and lower.
2015, I was wrong.
Yeah. 18% of Americans say clergy members have low or very low ethics.
I'm sorry, can you say 18%?
18%.
So almost a fifth of people think that clergy aren't just not necessarily trustworthy, but are actively unethical?
Correct.
Did people start listening to our program recently?
Yes, this is why our numbers are now in the billions.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. New listeners literally every week. I can't breathe for all the money in this room.
But the thing is, like, the clergy number has to sting because all the other professions that have lost trust, they're not founded on the idea that the people in that profession are moral leaders.
Yeah.
But clergy very much is.
Wow.
Here's another element of the survey, the Gallup poll. Even Republicans don't think clergy members are trustworthy.
Fuck you.
Only 36% of them say religious leaders have high ethical standards.
So what are they doing?
Yeah.
Is this
it's
kind of
21% of Democrats and it's 36% of Republicans.
Is this kind of like that?
I'm sorry, I need to rephrase that.
Yeah.
Among Republicans who say, do you believe clergy have high trustworthiness? Only 36% said yes.
Oh, interesting.
In case I got that wrong. And that is one of the biggest partisan gaps in any profession.
Do you think this is like how Congress as a body is deeply unpopular, but
everyone loves theirs?
Everybody loves their own Congress. Do you think that's what it is? Of like, oh, I don't trust all of the pastors, but my pastor, Pastor Gary,
probably
he's a good one.
Right. I mean, Congress, their trustworthy level is at 7% right now in general. Most incumbents are still going to win. For Congress?
Yeah.
Looking at this, it was probably 25-ish% at some point, maybe 20 years ago.
20 years ago?
Maybe more
So
than
like
that.
maybe right after 9/11, people were kind
There was a blip.
kind of rattling the sabers.
But among all the things, like when it comes to the partisan divide, members of Congress, there's not much of a gap. Republicans and Democrats don't think Congress members are trustworthy.
Interesting.
But Clergy is one of the biggest partisan gaps, 15-point differential between Republicans and Democrats.
Wow.
Cops are the biggest partisan difference.
Has it gone up for Republicans?
59% of Republicans say cops are trustworthy, only 25% of Democrats.
What was the trend on the cops? Because I'm curious if all of a sudden now that like they know about police violence, Republicans are like, hell yeah.
It's gone down for the past, like, it looks like 5 years.
Has it?
Mm-hmm. 37% trust.
That frankly is kind of surprising to me.
I mean, but none of this should be... One last thing before I move on. Another partisan gap. I told you Republicans trust cops more than Democrats. On the flip side, guess who Democrats trust more than Republicans do?
Ooh, okay. Who do they trust more than Republicans do? So
the number
like
one answer here,
service.
71% of Democrats say they're trustworthy. 31% of Republicans say they're trustworthy.
College professors.
Close.
High school teachers?
High school teachers.
I was going to say that, and then I got tricked. That's interesting.
And the number 2 partisan gap is journalists. 43% of Democrats say they're trustworthy. Only 10% of Republicans do.
Honestly, that should have been my guess.
Which is only funny to me because, like, you're going after the 2 careers that are, let me educate kids and let me try to report the truth.
It tells you everything you need to know about these people.
Right? But again, none of this should be surprising because, as we've talked about, there's no shortage of news about pastors behaving badly.
Sure.
So many of the ones who avoid scandals still believe stuff that's untrue and harmful and bigoted. And the biggest denominations in America, Southern Baptists, Catholics, they haven't dealt properly with their sex abuse problems. And the white evangelicals continue to carry water for the Trump administration. Patriarchal thinking and purity culture is still big among young conservative Christians online. So if we're judging people by their actions and not their words, all of this tracks when it comes to clergy members. Like if you're looking for ethics and morals, don't look to the local church, go look to protesters somewhere. Right?
I saw this video the other day of this, 30-something-year-old white dude with an American flag. And it was, those journalists who are like, hey, how come you're here protesting? How come you're here? And he was at some Minnesota protest. And the person was like, oh, what brings you here? And he immediately gets choked up. And he says, I can't talk for a second, is apologizing. He was like, I watched a bunch of 8-year-olds run away from cops in my country. And I never want to see that shit ever again. And they're getting away with it, but it might be a long road, but this is different. Like, people aren't going to stand. Well, I don't know anymore. I thought people wouldn't stand for J6. I thought people wouldn't stand for fucking Sandy Hook. I don't know, you guys. Life is really, really, really challenging right now, I think.
One of the takeaways here is trust has to be earned. You can't just demand it. And for millions of Americans, clergy members have made it clear they do not want to earn that respect. And so they're losing it. And I think if you want to fix that, if you are a pastor who wants to fix that, because there are good, decent pastors out there, then they need to keep constantly calling out bad Christians, bad Christian leaders, people who use the faith more so than they are doing now. Don't be afraid of calling out the people in your profession, in your religious circles. Because if you're not going to say it, you can't play the game of, I'm going to just stick to the gospel and not talk politics. Okay, fine. That's why no one trusts you, because you're not a voice of moral authority right now.
Well, if we're I thought the point of the Bible and church like that is to learn allegories and then lay them over on your life right now. You're going through a hard time. So did the Maccabees also went through a hard time, and they persevered in oil and stuff. And if you're trying to preach this, Jesus said, love his neighbors, Jesus said, do this, and then in the same breath be like, except for your neighbors, if they're brown, because I don't like those. Me, Jesus, a famous white guy. I mean, I don't know how. I mean, it's a cognitive dissonance thing, right? You're just you cannot allow the two hemispheres of your brain to meet in the middle, because otherwise they'd explode. Because you can't believe both of those things. You can't believe that Jesus loved his neighbor, but children should be deported and used as bait. You just can't. You just can't. And you won't.
They're trying.
I I want to tell a quick anecdote. Haven't heard about it. I've had a fucking insane 48 hours. Just got a lot of wild news. And I did, as is my wont, went to Hooters to read and drink wine about it. And this older black woman was sitting next to me and ended up striking a conversation, and we super bonded. And about, I don't know, half hour, 40 minutes into this talk, I found out she was a Trump supporter. And I just shut the conversation down. I just said, oh, I don't have any interest in engaging on this with you. I've just learned some really sea-changing shit about the world, and I just don't have the emotional fortitude to do this. And I just cannot right now be a white woman yelling at a black woman in a restaurant. Like, that's just not the person I can be. And like that, and maybe that's bitchy, and maybe you guys think that makes me like a bad person, because she and I did really connect over a lot of really interesting things. But and she kept like trying to be like, but we talked about this and that. And I was like, well, I know our values aren't the same anymore. I know that if you are still supporting Trump and his Gestapo and the fact that he hates black people and the fact that he hates women, we do not have the same values anymore. And I can't talk to you right now. And like, I don't know if that makes me a bad person, but I was so blown away by finding out she was a Trump supporter, because I just felt like we had connected on so many things. She works in healthcare. Anyway, like I don't know. I think maybe people should face societal consequences for their terrible, shitty opinions. And if that is they lose humanity and lose people around them, so fucking be it. Maybe rethink your life. Mm-hmm. I don't know. You guys can tell me what you think of that story. I don't know if I was the right person or did the right thing, but I
would not have talked to anybody or gone out.
She asked me about my Kindle. Honestly, old people love to ask me about my Kindle. They fucking love it. I don't know why. It's like they've never seen one before. Anyway, my life is stupid.
I got one last story for you. This one's quick. It's an update. We talked about in Oklahoma a school called the Ben Gamla Jewish Charter School. And after Oklahoma, under Ryan Walters, had approved a Catholic public charter school.
I remember
Do you remember
this.
that? And then the Oklahoma Supreme Court said, you can't do that.
Sir, Ryan.
And they asked the Supreme Court to step in on that. And Amy Coney Barrett recused herself because she knew people involved in the case. Mm-hmm. It was tied 4-4. And so it went back to Oklahoma, and they're like, too bad, that one stands. Yeah. So that's where we were at. And when we talked about this story a little while ago, it was that, well, now there's a different school trying to launch as a publicly funded charter school, but it's a Jewish school this time. And what we knew is that they were going to propose this, but they hadn't actually gone through. They hadn't submitted the paperwork, so we didn't know how this was going to end up.
Sorry, my dog is talking in her sleep right now, and I just kept hearing squeaking. I'm like, oh God, what's happening? She's just chasing a squirrel or whatever in her sleep.
And so the update here is that they did turn in their paperwork, and all the people part of the Oklahoma virtual charter school board had to now take a vote on whether or not they're going to go through with this. And they all know what game is going on here, that if we say no to this school, they're probably going to sue us. But if we say yes to it, we're definitely going to be sued because we already did that.
Fun, rock, hard place.
We lost.
Yeah.
And so, but what's the right thing to do here now that Ryan is gone?
Yeah. Right.
And by the way, after the announcement was made that the Jewish charter school was going to submit the paperwork, Gentner Drummond, the attorney general who's running for governor now, he said he's going to fight this if they go through with it. His spokesperson said, this matter has already been resolved. Our office will oppose any attempts to undermine the rule of law. Well, last week, the Oklahoma statewide charter school board, they voted to reject the school's application. It was a unanimous vote. And basically all the members just said, don't blame us. Our hands are tied because of legal precedent.
Yeah.
And they just said, as they were having their meeting, they said, let's also vote to find private attorneys to handle the expected litigation. Because the board's chairperson said, I would be shocked if there's not a lawsuit filed.
Okay, so this lawsuit is going to come from
the Jewish
charter school. Yep. And so they're like, we're getting sued one way or the other.
Yep.
And we had to hire somebody private to manage this. Yeah, so this is going to cost the country, or the taxpayers.
Something.
Yeah.
But the one of the people involved with the Jewish school said, well, the law is what it is. We made our best application, and now we're off to the courts.
Wow.
But I will say the charter school board did the right thing. We know they're going to be sued over this. And the right-wing legal firm Beckett, which plans to represent the school in court, they immediately claimed this was an attack on their faith.
Sure.
This is about religious discrimination. They blamed the attorney general, saying his attack on religious schools contradicts the Constitution. His actions have hung a no religious need apply sign on the state's charter school program, which is true.
I guess.
Because you're right. No
Just
religious
because you say it
schools.
with a whiny tone doesn't mean it's not right.
It's a charter school. It's a public school. You don't get to have religious schools.
Oh,
Now,
you make me drink water every day. Yeah, dog, that's just the reality.
Here's the thing. All of these religious groups, the right-wing lawyers, they're arguing the Supreme Court's already weighed in on this. For example, if a school gives away vouchers to private schools, the Supreme Court said you can't exclude religious schools from the mix.
Right.
So there you go. The problem is they are not, it's a charter school board. They are not approving private schools. Everything they do involves public schools.
Yeah.
And so you don't get to use that same analogy.
You don't get it both ways. You don't get state-funded support for your religion. And if you get state-funded support, you can't just do whatever you want because that's just not how the fucking world works.
Not how anything works. Anyway, so good news for now. We're waiting for the lawsuit to be filed, but yay.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
I want to talk in the bonus episode about James Tallarico and the controversy happening there. Anything else we were talking about in the bonus?
Yeah, I want to talk about watching the Olympics. I want to talk about the baby shower I went to. I want to talk about the podcast Beth's Dead. Before we go, though, I have a couple things I want to say. One is if you were an annual $20 a month Patreon member, I fucked some shit up. And I messaged everybody I think whom it affected. And it's my friend Christian from Sweden was like, I can't see the videos. And I'm like, oh, can I just send you personally the videos instead of dealing with this? So I reached out to you with instructions via Patreon. So look into that. Also, I finished on my drive to and from Louisville for my best friend's baby shower, which was incredible. I finished Devil You Know, including all of the bonus stuff, and I genuinely think it's required listening for anybody who likes The Friendly Atheist. It just...
What's the name?
It's called The Devil You Know.
The Devil You Know.
Yeah, it's hosted by Sarah Marshall, who
and this is about the Satanic Panic.
It's about the Satanic Panic, and then... Yeah, it is about Satanic Panic, and then it's about largely like conspiracies and cultural shifts and like cultural panics and things like that. Just listen to it all. It is all just outstanding. Great journalism. Like I said last week, it is the podcast I wanted to make, and she beat me to it and did it better than I could have ever imagined. So I am thrilled that it exists. And now I have to think of a new project to not work on.
You can go to patreon.com/friendlyatheistpodcast. Leave us reviews by iTunes, wherever you get your podcasts.
Yep.
And you can go to friendlyatheistpodcast.com for merch. Email us.
Yeah, we've got a lot of fun
Live
merch.
your life.
Okay. This is oh boy, it makes me nervous when I haven't read these yet. This is a review from Guz42. Love that. Also, Apple's terrible, so it says friendly with a tasteful amount of ...
Nice.
So who knows? The hosts are just darn likable and deliver news about frightening religious overreach in a way that doesn't make me want to avoid it out of anxiety. It's important we all know what's going on, but sometimes the news is hard to take. Staying informed but level-headed keeps me take action when I can. Thanks. Honestly,
nice.
That's
very
exactly,
nice.
I think, what we do here. Because I'm the same way, guys. Like, as I've said before, I don't follow the fucking news anymore. I just can't. I just simply cannot. And yeah, this helps me feel like I'm informed on what's going on that I can, I don't know, just worry about and not do anything about.
All right.
Anyway.
We'll see you in the bonus.
We'll see some of you, or I'll see some of you in Snoqualmie in a few days. Thank you, everybody. We'll talk to you next week. Bye.